Hi everybody, this is Terry from Terry's Teaching Tidbits, and today I'm going to show you how to use the Google Forms versions of my math tests. I'm going to start by showing you with an example of a 3rd grade Unit 1 math test, but all of them are going to receive a page with the same exact format. So what you're going to do is on the Google Forms version page, you're going to see 6 different icons that are going to connect to the different files that you receive. I'm going to start by copying them into my Google Drive. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by clicking on the Unit 1 Math Pretest. It's going to force you to make a copy. So I'm going to click Make a Copy. And then I'm going to go back and I'm going to click on the Post Test. Make a copy of that as well. Then I'm going to go back and make a copy of the student goals sheets. And then I'm going to go back again, make a copy of the study guide in Google Slides. And then there are 2 more files that are PDF files. These are for teacher use mostly. It is a PDF of the study guide as well as the answer key. So I'm going to click on each of these, and by clicking on them, they're going to be automatically added into your Google Drive. So then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go to a new window, go to your Google Drive, and I suggest going on Recent and clicking there, and you're going to see the 6 files right here. So you can see copy of Unit 1 pretest, post-test, student goals, study guide, and then those 2 PDF files. So I've highlighted them by clicking on one of them, pressing the Shift button, and then clicking on the last one so that it copies each of these. Then what you can do is you can move these to a new folder. So to do that, you're going to want to click on My Drive, and to create a new folder, you just click on New Folder, and you can put whatever you want. You may want to put 3rd grade Unit 1 math test, or just Unit 1 math test if you know it's 3rd grade. You're going to create that folder and move all the items here. Okay? Don't worry about that last step, that's because I already have these files in my drive. So then you're going to go to My Drive and you're going to find that folder, Unit 1 Math Tests, and you're going to have all of those files right in here. So from here, you are going to be ready to send these out to your students in Google Classroom. If you want to change the name of any of these files, all you have to do is click on it, rename it. So if you don't like having copy of, because then it's hard to get to things alphabetically, just delete that and click OK, and you can do that with each one of these. Each Google form is already pre-formatted for the following options. To collect your students' email addresses, that helps if they log in to Google Classroom specifically with an email address from your school, and it will automatically collect it once they're logged in. You can delete this if you want to, and I'll show you how to do that in just a second. And then it also asks them for their first name and their last name. This helps for organizing the data in the spreadsheet. And then it goes ahead and has 20 selected response questions. They are already formatted to have the answer choices in them. That way it is super easy grading. To change any settings, just click on the cog next to the Send button. I already have it set to collect email addresses. If you don't want it to do that, just unclick it. If you want to change whether your students can edit their test after they submit it, you can click that button. I also limit it to 1 response. That way they can't go in and do the test twice with the same account. You can change the presentation options, and it is already set to grade it as a quiz. So each question is worth 5 points, and it will immediately give your students their score once they submit. The other nice thing about this is all questions are required to be answered. So if they forget to answer a question, it will not let them submit the test without going back and finishing that problem. Once your students have answered their tests and completed them and submitted them, you're going to go to the responses section. Right now there's no data, but once your students start responding, you're going to be able to see a graph that has every single question, how many people answered the correct answer, how many people answered choice B, C, D. So it'll give you some great data to look at for planning your unit, especially after the pre-test. In order to send all of this to an Excel sheet or a Google sheet, all you have to do is click on this green button and it will have you create a new spreadsheet. Once it's linked, you click on it again, and it's going to push all of your students' data into this spreadsheet. So you'll be able to analyze each question and who answered the correct answer choices. So all you have to look at is the standard at the top, and then you can see what everybody answered for each question. After you've given your students the pre-test and they've received their scores, they can then go ahead into the student goals sheets that you're going to send out in Google Classroom. But before you send it out, I've given you 4 different versions of the student goals page. If you want to call them Unit 1 or Unit 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you can, and there's an option on sheets 3 and 4. If you want to not name them by unit and just go with the title of the unit, numbers and operations in base 10, then you can just have this say student goals. So if you want to use the first page, then all you have to do is delete pages 2, 3, and 4, and you will have one student goals sheet to send out to your students. It's pre-formatted so that all they have to do is after the pre-test, they fill in the number correct that they got. If it was 6 questions that they got correct, they're going to put a 6 in there. That's a fraction of 6 out of 20, which is a 30%. And then they're going to make a goal for the post-test. Let's say their goal is an 85. And then down at the bottom, you're going to fill in, or they're going to fill in the bar graph. So all they have to do is click on this pre-made shape and just drag it up from the top to 30%. Then when they take the post-test at the end of the unit, when you're finished teaching and they get their post-test score, they're going to do the same thing over here on the post-test, and hopefully they'll be able to see this grow all the way up to 85% or higher, hopefully, if they meet their goal, and they get to see their progress. You're going to have access to is a study guide in Google Sheets. Your students can use this by creating text boxes to put next to each problem, and then from there they can format it however they want to answer it. So 92 rounded is 90, and they can just continue to create text boxes and fill them in as they go along. If you choose not to use a digital form, a digital version of the study guide, that's what the PDF files were meant for on the original page. So if you want to go back to those and just print them out, you just click on these and you can just print them out and use them as a paper version. But this is an additional option if you want to send them out in Google Classroom. So now to see how to actually use this within Google Classroom, I'm going to show you how to create assignments and create announcements that are going to help you to attach those files into Google Classroom so that your students have access to them. So you're going to start by going over down to this plus sign. Now you can either create an announcement, assignment, or a question. You can also reuse a post from another class. For a Google form, I suggest creating an announcement. The reason for this is because your students are prompted to turn things in digitally if it's an assignment. So if it's a form, they don't have an actual physical Google product to turn in with it. So I usually put my Google Forms as an announcement. So I might put my description as, please complete the following Google form for the Unit 1 math test. You can create a topic if you want. If you like to keep things organized, I usually organize them by unit. Then from there, you can either attach a file, a Drive file, a YouTube video, or a link. So we're going to use the Google Drive folder or file to get that Unit 1 pretest. So we're going to go to Recent, and you can see all of the files that we've done, that we were putting into our Google Drive file before. So here's the Unit 1 pretest, Numbers and Operations in Base 10. I'm going to add it, and now you can see it here. Now you can either post this right away, or if you click on the down arrow, you can schedule it for a later time and choose an exact date and time. That way your students don't have access to it ahead of time. You can also save it as a draft if you want to come back to it later. If you do save it as a draft, it's going to save it right up here, and then all you have to do is click on this and access the announcement for the Unit 1 math test. The next thing that you can do is post it, and then your students will be able to see it. And it warns you that it's going to be seen right away. So then here's what it looks like, and you can view the responses in Sheets by clicking right here. Next, if you want to assign them the Google Sheets version of the student goals page, I would create an assignment for that. That way they do have to turn it in. When you go to create an assignment, you give it a title. So I'm going to name it Unit 1 Student Goals. Please complete the Google Slides page of the Student Goals sheet. You can create a due date if you want. You can also add it to Unit 1. And then you're going to go to that Drive folder, and you're going to go to that Student Goals sheet. Now you're going to want to make sure that it doesn't have anything written in it before you send it out, and you're also going to want to make sure that you choose which one of those goals sheets you're going to give them. The 4 versions include 2 versions with just student goals on the top, 2 versions with the unit number, and the difference between the 2 of each is one of them has the option for the class to create a class average and a class goal for the post test. That way you can see growth as a class. So I'm going to add the student goals sheet in there. Right now, it's only set on the students being able to view the file, and we don't want that for this case. We want every student to have their own copy so that they can input their own data. So you're going to click on that down arrow and make a copy for each student. And again, you can assign it right away, schedule it, or save it as a draft. When you assign it, you're then going to be able to see who's finished with it, who has not finished with it, and from there you can go in and see each of your students' goal sheets, and they'll all have their own individual one. And to see that, all you have to do is click on the Unit 1 goals sheet, and then it'll have a list of all of your students, and if you just click on them each one at a time, it'll show on the right hand side their individual spreadsheet or goal sheet so that you can see it. So then you're going to want to also do this again for the study guide and also for the post test. So you're going to put them in the same way. Thank you so much for watching, and if you have any questions, you can email me at terrysteachingtidbits@gmail.com.